I have no idea what a Pokemon is. You see, when I was growing up, my mother didn't let me watch any type of anime because she heard that it could cause seizures. Side note, I always thought this was kind of a bit of nonsense until I was researching for this script, but apparently an episode of Pokemon did cause some kids to have seizures back in 1997, so that tracks with my childhood timeline. So, because of this, I missed out on the whole Pokemon craze in the 90s and 2000s. As far as I know, Pikachu is voiced by Deadpool,
Or I will electrocute you.
and some kid in a blue vest runs around and forces creatures into a small red and white ball in order to have them fight to the death against other imprisoned creatures later. Now, what I didn't miss out on was the absolute influx of survival games when I was in high school and college in the 2010s, with Ark being one of the most prevalent games, and one that I have several hundred hours in on just PC alone, let alone on PS4 when I started playing it. So when a game called Palworld kind of showed up out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago, I thought, this looks a lot like Ark. But then I saw that you can give your tames guns and rocket launchers and miniguns, and I then proceeded to download the game. And boy, this game is sure inspired quite a bit by Ark. Now, I know most of the headlines you'll see about Palworld will be something along the lines of Pokemon with guns. And I can see why that's the headline that most go with. I mean, obviously Pokemon has more name recognition than Ark, and obviously the art and the videos that you see of Palworld, you can recognize that type of Pokemon art style with the pals. But if you've even played like an hour of Ark, a lot of Palworld will instantly be familiar. The inventory, the skill menu, the tech menu, and even a lot of the audio cues are almost straight copies of Ark's. Most of the survival mechanics are extremely similar as well. I mean, when it comes to survival, yes, there's only so many ways you can have, temperature, starvation, and thirst all be managed, but a lot of it just feels very familiar to Ark. However, despite this, it's, dare I say, almost better than Ark. First off, this 2-3 week old game has been almost bug-free for me. The occasional T-pose being the only issue I've had on PC. The AI does occasionally have issues, especially with the human AI just being dumb. The PAL AI does get stuck in my base at times, but just yoinking them in and out of the PAL box fixes that. And that's seriously the only issues I've had in this game. And this game is still in early access on Steam, so that's like, what, 1,000% better than Ark, which has been out for how many years now? Second, the devs seem to have taken the Ark style of survival game and simplified it down, making it more attractive for your average casual gamer. You don't have to knock out pals and keep them unconscious while a timer counts down, so you ain't got to worry about, getting a club and beating the crap out of a raptor and then shoving narco berries in his mouth for the next, 15, 20 minutes, however long that takes. Just whack him a couple of times with your spear and then throw a shiny ball at them and poof, it's done. Speaking of pals, the quickest way to level up in Palworld is to just capture every single pal that you see. You even receive XP bonuses for capturing multiples of the same pals and bonuses for capturing new pals, which encourages exploration to new areas where you can find these new pals. Now, some pals don't understand that I'm going to get XP from them one way or another. Now, you're going to want these pals because they can be put to work in your bases to help produce everything you need from lumber to high explosives, which helps cut back on some of the frustration of, in Ark, just sitting in your base and crafting for what feels like hours at a time. All you really have to do is ensure that the raw resources somehow wind up in your base's storage units, and then your pals will do the rest of the work for you once you get your assembly system up and going, which means you can go out there and explore, collect new pals, and fight bosses to your heart's content, while all of your pals back at the base are crafting the items that you need in order to continue to do that. And as you've heard, you can of course arm your pals as well. In fact, the pals have access to guns before you do, which is hilarious in my opinion. It makes them quite fearsome in combat on top of their various elemental abilities. Of course, you have earth pals, fire pals, water pals, and air pals, and a couple of in between as well, including some dragons type pals in addition to that. So it's pretty cool to, give them an AK or a Glock or a minigun or a rocket launcher on top of their already existing elemental abilities. It makes them quite useful in battle. And of course, since it is, Pokemon with guns, you can carry quite a few pals on you at once that you can use in combat. So I would of course suggest to keep a bit of a variety on you, because unless you're going after one particular boss that you know is weak to, let's say, fire, then of course you want to stack up your pal roster with fire pals. But if you're just going out and about, you may want to keep a water pal on you, an air pal, a fire pal, an earth pal, so forth and so on. I really like that aspect about it. Now, speaking about the map and exploring and bosses, the map is quite large and diverse. You have tropical beaches, cold mountain peaks, volcanoes, bit of a desert, and it really is quite large, and I haven't barely scratched it at this point. I've played for almost 15 hours at the time of writing the script, and I know that's probably not a super high play time, but I want to get this video out while Palworld is still at least topical on the YouTube side of things. But I really feel like I've barely scratched it. I mean, my map is, I'd say maybe 30, 40-ish% revealed, right? So I still have a lot more exploring to do and a whole lot more pals that I haven't seen that I know are out there, thanks to, all the clips we've been seeing floating around the internet as of now. So even though it is in early access, there's still plenty of bosses and pals to face and capture, which you can toss humans in these pal spheres as well, which is an interesting mechanic, shall we say. I don't know what they mean by that, but you can do it. So I've been spending most of my time facing the field bosses I've ran into while exploring the map and just trying to work my way up to be strong enough to face them down one at a time, which of course leads to more exploring, capturing more pals, and, trying to bump up your technology level, which of course is done by capturing a ton of pals, and my pal box is getting quite full. But you can sell these to merchants and such for a bit of gold, and you can use this gold at other merchants to buy, supplies, armor, blueprints to craft more powerful weapons and such, or even maybe jump up a couple of ranks in the tech tree, because you may not have that certain item unlocked just yet, but if you get a blueprint for it, you can make it as long as you have that blueprint. For example, there's this brontosaurus earth looking green pal that I wanted to face, but he was level 23. Now the level differences in Palworld, from my experience so far before I got into the whole gun side of things, is that if they're higher level than you, you either better bring some roided up pals with you to fight them, or you better come back at a later time. So with this green brontosaurus looking thing, this dinosaur looking dude, I wanted to finally get my first gun and see if that would maybe kind of help me in the fight against him. So of course I leveled up to level 21 by just capturing half a continent's worth of pals, and then of course had to gather all the material together and get my pals in my base working toward constructing this first rifle, which turned out to be a flintlock rifle, which it's a gun, it fires a bullet, but it takes a second to reload. And what's really cool too is that the animation for it's really good. It's better than a lot of, more modern games. I'll say more modern games, but more, shall we say, advanced games when it comes to the graphics side of things. Which, speaking about the graphics, I don't think they look bad or anything like that. It's stylized, and I mean, that works. It looks better than Fortnite in my opinion, right? So it works. But the animations for the guns so far, from the player side of things, has been very well, and that's really on display here with this musket. And keep in mind too, this is just for the musket, something that you're going to use until you can get the single shot rifle unlocked, and then you're probably not going to touch it again. But they took the time to actually animate a pretty accurate loading process for a musket. So I gotta give him props for that, right? So I spent all my time building this musket. Finally go to face the Brontosaurus, the green Brontosaurus, and, well, I still get my crap rocked, right? Because he still levels higher than me. But I remember that you can, and here's again another part of this this world that's very cheery and delightful looking, that's a little bit dark. You can find Pal Souls, and then you can sacrifice these Pal Souls to an altar that you can then use to power up your current pals. I did this with one of my fire pals, because apparently the green Brontosaurus, which is an earth pal, doesn't like fire too much. So I juiced him on up, and we went back to face the green Brontosaurus, and you know what? It worked that time. Managed to capture him and add him to my roster. So that was pretty cool. Felt pretty accomplished after that. And that's just one of the field bosses. There's dungeons you can go into that have various chambers that you have to work your way through to get to the final boss. And there's just a lot to do in, again, a game that's not done in early access. And this is one of the few games that I've been, you know, it's got that itch that demands to be scratched, right? Like, I'll go play for a bit and put it down, go do something else, then I just start thinking, no, I really want to play Palworld again. And not a lot of games have been able to do that for me recently. It works a lot better than most AAA games that have come out recently. It is better than a lot of AAA games that have come out recently. So this early access game that's just a mishmash of Ark, Pokemon, and, well, really it's those two just slapped together, right? It's fun. It's really freaking fun. And I mean, if you liked what I've been talking about, what you've been seeing in the background footage, and keep on, this is just from 15 hours of gameplay, right? There's still a lot more you can do in this early access version of the game, and it says a lot when this is what the second non-AAA game to come out recently that's just made a mockery of the AAA studios at this point, which I'm glad more and more of this is happening, because maybe it'll get those guys off their butts and making a game that's worth buying again. Oh, also the climbing is also really nice in this game. You can just climb up the side of a mountain or a crevasse or whatever. It really helps to prevent you from getting stuck at times, so that's pretty cool as well. The traversal system's pretty nice. I do find myself getting stuck on things that I feel like my character should just kind of step over, right? But that's one of the grievances I do have with the game, at least at this moment. The fast travel system's also nice and convenient as well. There's lots of fast travel points, so you don't ever feel too punished for trying to go at a boss or at a pal that's too high of a level from you, because all you have to do is find the nearest fast travel point and you can just warp right there and get your stuff back right away. So that's pretty cool. Game's multiplayer as well, so you can play with your friends. I've been playing single player for most of my time, just getting the hang for the game, and I've been having fun. Again, it's a fun game. I'd recommend you guys check it out. Again, it's in early access on Steam, and you know, for the, what does this game cost, $20-$30 for that price, for just the little bit of time that I've had with it so far, I feel like I've definitely gotten my money out of it. And again, this is the early access version. With the amount of attention and profit this game's been making, I feel like we could most definitely have a real hit on our hands here if the devs stick with it, which I think they will, because like the game's made, like, I think if you do the math, like $8-9 million just in the first couple of weeks. So yeah, here's to the future of Palworld, and a game I would highly recommend to you guys. So if you guys have had a chance to play Palworld, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you like this style of video, let me know, as well as trying something new out for these Sunday videos. So again, if you like this, let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday and wonderful week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.